It appeared to me that these aggravating notes related to the jolts and bumps of the carriage, and I should have resigned myself to his taking them under a general supposition that he was in the civil engineering way of life, if he had not sat staring straight over my head whenever he listened. He was a goggle-eyed gentleman of a perplexed aspect, and his demeanour became unbearable. It was a cold, dead morning, the sun not being up yet, and when I had outwatched the paling light of the fires of the iron country and the curtain of heavy smoke that hung at once between me and the stars and between me and the day, I turned to my fellow traveller and said, "I beg your pardon, sir, but do you observe anything particular in me?" For really he appeared to be taking down either my travelling cap or my hair with a minuteness that was a liberty. The goggle-eyed gentleman withdrew his eyes from behind me, as if the back of the carriage were 100 miles off, and said, with a lofty look of compassion for my insignificance, "In you, sir?" "B." "B, sir?" said I, growing warm. "I have nothing to do with you, sir," returned the gentleman. "Pray let me listen." "O." He enunciated this vowel after a pause and noted it down. At first I was alarmed, for an express lunatic and no communication with the guard is a serious position. The thought came to my relief that the gentleman might be what is popularly called a rapper, one of a sect for some of whom I have the highest respect, but whom I don't believe in. I was going to ask him the question when he took the bread out of my mouth. "You will excuse me," said the gentleman contemptuously, "if I am too much in advance of common humanity to trouble myself at all about it. I have passed the night, as indeed I pass the whole of my time now, in spiritual intercourse." "Oh," said I, somewhat snappishly. "The conferences of the night began," continued the gentleman, turning several leaves of his notebook, "with this message: 'Evil communications corrupt good manners.'" "Sound," said I, "but absolutely new?" "New from spirits," returned the gentleman. I could only repeat my rather snappish "oh," and ask if I might be favoured with the last communication. "A bird in the hand," said the gentleman, reading his last entry with great solemnity, "is worth 2 in the Bosch." "Truly, I am of the same opinion," said I, "but shouldn't it be Bush?" "It came to me Bosch," returned the gentleman. The gentleman then informed me that the spirit of Socrates had delivered this special revelation in the course of the night. "My friend, I hope you are pretty well. There are 2 in this railway carriage. How do you do? There are 17,479 spirits here, but you cannot see them. Pythagoras is here. He is not at liberty to mention it, but hopes you like travelling." Galileo likewise had dropped in with this scientific intelligence. "I am glad to see you, amico. Come sta? Water will freeze when it is cold enough. Addio." In the course of the night, also, the following phenomena had occurred. Bishop Butler had insisted on spelling his name Bubbler, for which offence against orthography and good manners he had been dismissed as out of temper. John Milton, suspected of wilful mystification, had repudiated the authorship of Paradise Lost, and had introduced as joint authors of that poem 2 unknown gentlemen, respectively named Gunges and Skadgington. And Prince Arthur, nephew of King John of England, had described himself as tolerably comfortable in the 7th Circle, where he was learning to paint on velvet under the direction of Mrs. Trimmer and Mary Queen of Scots. If this should meet the eye of the gentleman who favoured me with these disclosures, I trust he will excuse my confessing that the sight of the rising sun and the contemplation of the magnificent order of the vast universe made me impatient of them. In a word, I was so impatient of them that I was mightily glad to get out at the next station, and to exchange these clouds and vapours for the free air of heaven. By that time it was a beautiful morning, and as I walked away among such leaves as had already fallen from the golden, brown and russet trees, and as I looked around me on the wonders of creation, and thought of the steady, unchanging and harmonious laws by which they are sustained, the gentleman's spiritual intercourse seemed to me as poor a piece of journey work as ever this world saw. In which heathen state of mind I came within view of the house, and stopped to examine it attentively. It was a solitary house, standing in a sadly neglected garden, a pretty even square of some 2 acres. It was a house of about